Welcome to English Chill Talks. Slow conversations, clear English, and thoughtful ideas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I am Alex, and I am joined by the wonderful Sarah.
Hi guys! I am so incredibly excited for this today. We have a lot of ground to cover, right?
We really do. Honestly, I have been looking forward to this specific topic all week long.
Me too. I think it is something that literally everyone thinks about at some point or another.
For sure. Basically, we are diving deep into what it actually takes to change your life for the better.
It is going to be a wild ride, so grab a coffee and settle in with us.
So let's kick things off by talking about why change is so hard. I mean, why is it like this?
That is the million-dollar question. To be fair, our brains are literally wired for comfort and safety.
Right. It is like our ability to evolve just starts to wither away when we stay too safe.
Exactly. If you think about it, change is basically perceived as a threat by our subconscious mind.
It really is. It's like we want the growth, but we hate the actual process of growing.
Exactly. It is funny you say that because I feel that resistance every single morning.
We all do. Here's the thing. Changing your life isn't just about one big flashy moment.
Right. It's actually about the tiny, boring stuff we do when no one is watching us.
To be honest, most people wait for inspiration to strike like lightning, but it never really does.
For sure, you have to build the lightning rod yourself through consistent actions and daily habits.
On that note, let's really get into the nitty-gritty of how to actually make this happen.
Okay, let's start with the concept of micro-habits, because I think they are the real foundation.
Totally. Most people try to change everything at once and then fail by Friday afternoon.
Right? They decide to run a marathon, eat only kale, and learn Mandarin in 1 week.
Literally. It is just too much for the system to handle all at once.
Honestly, it is much better to start with something so small it feels almost stupid.
I agree. Like, if you want to read more, just commit to reading one single page.
Exactly. 1 page is better than 0 pages, and it builds that crucial momentum.
Speaking of which, momentum is probably the most underrated force in personal development.
It really is. Once you get the ball rolling, it takes less effort to keep it moving.
Wait, let's back up for a second. How do you even choose what to change first?
That is a great point. I guess it starts with identifying your core values, right?
For sure. If your goals don't align with your values, you will eventually self-sabotage.
I mean, I've done that so many times. It's like fighting against your own nature.
Right. It feels like you're swimming upstream against a very strong current.
Basically, you have to find out what truly matters to you before you start the work.
To be fair, that sounds easier than it actually is in practice.
It is. Most of us are living someone else's version of a good life anyway.
That is so true. We see people on social media and think we want their lives.
The crazy part is, they're probably just as miserable as everyone else behind the scenes.
Exactly. So the first step is really about extreme self-honesty.
Right. Asking yourself, do I actually want this, or do I just want the status it brings?
That's a tough question to answer. It requires a lot of quiet reflection time.
Speaking of quiet time, let's talk about the digital noise that surrounds us constantly.
Oh, don't even get me started on the endless scrolling. It's a total productivity killer.
Honestly, it's more than that. It's like your ability to think deeply just starts to wither away.
Totally. If you can't be alone with your thoughts, you can't change your life.
For sure. You need that space to process things and decide on your next move.
I mean, when was the last time any of us just sat in silence for 10 minutes?
Probably never for most people. We're always reaching for our phones for that dopamine hit.
Right, and that dopamine loop makes us feel busy without actually accomplishing anything meaningful.
It's funny you say that because I feel more tired after scrolling than after working.
Exactly. It's a mental drain that provides zero actual value to our real lives.
So maybe step 2 is a digital detox, or at least some serious boundaries.
Basically, yes. You have to protect your focus like it is your most valuable asset.
Because it is. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, as the saying goes.
To be fair, that is a bit of a cliché, but it's a cliché for a reason.
It really is. Now, let's talk about the people we surround ourselves with.
Oh, this is a big one. You're the average of the 5 people you spend time with.
Right. If your friends are always complaining, you'll probably start complaining too.
For sure, it is almost like a social contagion that spreads without you even noticing.
I guess it's hard to level up when your circle is pulling you back down.
Exactly. It doesn't mean you have to dump your friends, but you need to be mindful.
Maybe it's about finding mentors or people who are already where you want to be.
Right. Their mindset will eventually rub off on you if you spend enough time together.
On that note, let's talk about failure, because change usually involves a lot of it.
Honestly, if you're not failing, you probably aren't trying anything new enough.
That is such a good point. We're so afraid of looking foolish that we stay stuck.
Literally, but every expert was once a beginner who was willing to look like an idiot.
I think I've looked like an idiot more times than I can count.
Me too, and that's actually where the real learning happens, you know?
For sure. You have to reframe failure as data. It's just feedback on your process.
Right, it's not a reflection of your worth as a human being.
If you think about it, most people quit right before they hit a breakthrough.
Exactly, they hit the wall and assume that it's a sign to stop.
But the wall is actually there to test how much you really want the change.
It's like, well, blurry lately, but the vision has to stay sharp.
I mean, you have to keep your eyes on the prize even when things get messy.
Totally, and things will definitely get messy. That's just part of the deal.
To be honest, the messy middle is where most people lose their way.
For sure, the initial excitement has faded and the results aren't visible yet.
That reminds me of the bamboo tree. It grows underground for years before it shoots up.
I love that analogy. All that work is happening where no one can see it.
Exactly. You're building the root system that will eventually support your new life.
So, how do we stay motivated during that long, invisible growing phase?
I think it's about falling in love with the process rather than the outcome.
Right. If you enjoy the daily grind, the result becomes a nice bonus.
Basically, you have to become the kind of person who does the work every day.
It's an identity shift. You're not trying to exercise, you are an athlete.
Exactly. Once it becomes part of who you are, it takes much less willpower.
Speaking of willpower, it's a finite resource. We shouldn't rely on it too much.
For sure. That's why environment design is so much more effective than pure grit.
Right. If you want to eat healthy, don't keep junk food in your house.
It sounds so simple, but it's actually the most powerful strategy there is.
Honestly, your environment should make the good habits easy and the bad habits hard.
Exactly. Like if you want to write, leave your laptop open on your desk.
Or if you want to run, put your sneakers right by the front door.
It's funny how those tiny changes can completely transform your daily routine.
To be fair, it takes a bit of intentionality to set those things up.
It does. You have to be the architect of your own life, not just a resident.
I love that. You're building the space where your future self will live.
I mean, if your future self walked into your room right now, what would they say?
Probably they'd tell me to clean up and get to work.
Right. We often treat our future selves like strangers instead of ourselves.
Exactly. We procrastinate because future Sarah will have more energy, which is a lie.
It really is. Future you is just going to be just as tired as current you.
So we have to do the heavy lifting now to make their life easier later.
Basically, yes. It's an act of self-love to set yourself up for success.
On that note, let's talk about the role of physical health in all of this.
Oh, it's huge. If your body is a mess, your mind will be too.
For sure, sleep is probably the most underrated performance enhancer on the planet.
Honestly, if I don't get 8 hours, my brain just feels like absolute mush.
Right? And when your brain is mush, your decision-making is terrible.
Exactly. You're more likely to give up and fall back into old patterns.
To be fair, getting enough sleep is hard in our hustle culture world.
It really is. We're told that sleeping is for the weak, which is nonsense.
Basically, it is the foundation of everything else you want to achieve.
I mean, if you can't manage your energy, you can't manage your life.
Totally. And water. Most people are just walking around completely dehydrated.
It's true. A glass of water can sometimes solve a life crisis.
Exactly. Sometimes you don't need a life coach. You just need a nap.
I love that. Let's talk about the rule of 5 for a second.
Wait, remind me what that one is again? Is it the tasks thing?
Yeah, basically, you do 5 things every single day that move you closer to your goal.
I like that. It is manageable but still feels like significant progress.
Right. They don't have to be big things, just 5 intentional actions.
For sure. If you do that for a year, you have done over 1,800 things.
Exactly. The math of consistency is actually pretty mind-blowing when you see it.
It really is. It's like compound interest for your personal growth.
Speaking of interest, how do we handle the people who don't want us to change?
Oh, that is the hardest part. Sometimes the people closest to us are the most resistant.
Right, they're used to the old you because it makes them feel comfortable.
Exactly. When you change, it shines a light on the fact that they aren't changing.
To be honest, it can lead to a lot of friction in relationships.
For sure, you have to be prepared for some people to fall away as you grow.
It is sad, but it is often necessary for your own survival and progress.
I mean, you can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
That is a powerful way to put it. You have to prioritize your own evolution.
Basically, the people who really love you will eventually support your growth.
Right, they might be confused at first, but they will come around.
And if they don't, then maybe they weren't meant to be in your next chapter.
That is a tough pill to swallow, but it is definitely true.
It's funny you say that because I've lost friends over simple habit changes before.
Really? Like just by eating better or waking up earlier?
Yeah, suddenly I wasn't the fun one who stayed out late drinking anymore.
Wow, it's like you broke a silent contract you never signed.
Exactly, but the new friends I've made are so much more aligned with who I am now.
That is the silver lining. You make room for better connections to enter.
For sure, it's all about creating space for the new version of yourself.
Speaking of space, let's touch on the importance of journaling.
Oh, I am a huge fan. It's like an external hard drive for your brain.
Honestly, it helps me spot patterns in my behavior that I would otherwise miss.
Right? You see the same complaints coming up week after week.
Exactly, and eventually you get so tired of writing it that you actually change it.
That is so true. Journaling can literally shame you into taking action.
It really can. It forces you to face the reality of how you're spending your time.
To be fair, it can be a bit painful to look at those pages sometimes.
It is, but that discomfort is the compass pointing you toward growth.
Basically, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you.
I mean, that is another cliché, but I'll allow it this time.
Thank you. I promise I'll stop with the quotes eventually.
No, they're good. They help anchor the concepts in our minds.
Speaking of anchoring, let's talk about the power of the word no.
Oh, no is a complete sentence. It is the ultimate tool for change.
Right. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you say no to your goals.
For sure. We're often so afraid of disappointing people that we sabotage ourselves.
Exactly, but people-pleasing is just a fancy way of staying stuck.
Honestly, people will respect you more if you have clear boundaries.
To be fair, they might be annoyed at first, but they'll adapt.
Basically, you have to be the CEO of your own time and energy.
I love that, and every CEO has to make some tough decisions.
Right, you can't run a successful company or life by committee.
Exactly. You have to take the wheel and drive.
It's funny you say that because so many people are just passengers in their own lives.
For sure. They're just going wherever the wind blows them.
But to change your life, you have to be the one steering the ship.
Even if the water is choppy and you're not quite sure where the port is.
Right, you just have to keep moving in the general direction of your dreams.
I mean, even a 1-degree shift in course leads to a different destination.
Exactly. Over time, that tiny shift becomes a massive distance.
So don't worry if you aren't seeing huge results in the first week.
For sure. Just focus on staying that 1 degree off the old path.
That's a great way to think about it. It makes it feel much less overwhelming.
Honestly, overwhelm is the biggest enemy of change.
It really is. It paralyzes you before you even take the first step.
To be fair, the world is designed to overwhelm us these days.
Basically, we have to simplify everything down to the bare essentials.
Right, what is the one thing I can do today that makes everything else easier?
That's the ultimate question from the One Thing book, right?
Yeah, it's such a powerful framework for focus.
Speaking of focus, let's talk about meditation for just a second.
Oh, I knew you were going to bring that up. You are the meditation queen.
I try, but honestly, it has changed my life more than anything else.
It's just about training your brain to notice when it has wandered off, right?
Exactly. It's like a bicep curl for your attention span.
For sure. And in a world of distractions, a strong attention span is a superpower.
It really is. If you can focus on one thing for an hour, you're ahead of 90% of people.
Honestly, that's a very conservative estimate. Most people can't do 10 minutes.
Right. So if you want to change your life, start by training your mind.
Because everything starts in the mind before it manifests in reality.
I mean, your thoughts become your words, and your words become your actions.
And your actions become your habits, which become your character.
Exactly, and your character ultimately is your destiny.
Look at us, finishing each other's philosophical sentences.
We're totally in sync today. It must be the coffee.
Or it's just that these truths are so universal that they resonate deeply.
I think it's both. These aren't secrets, they're just things we forget.
Right, we don't need more information, we just need more implementation.
To be fair, implementation is the hardest part of the whole equation.
Basically, you just have to start before you feel ready.
Because you'll never actually feel ready to do something difficult.
Exactly. Ready is a myth that keeps people stuck on the starting line.
So just jump in and figure it out as you go.
For sure, you can't learn to swim by reading a book about it.
Right, you have to get wet and probably swallow some water too.
Exactly. Now, let's transition into some real-world scenarios to show how this works.
Let's talk about Mike. He was a guy I knew who was totally burnt out in his corporate job.
Oh, I remember you mentioning him. He felt like a cog in a machine, right?
Exactly. He wanted to be a freelance photographer but was terrified to leave his salary.
That is such a common fear. The golden handcuffs are very real.
Honestly, he didn't just quit one day. He started by taking photos on his lunch break.
See, that is a micro-habit. Just 30 minutes a day during his break.
Right. Then he started posting them on Instagram and getting some actual traction.
To be fair, it probably took a long time before he made any money.
It did. It took about 18 months of working double shifts, basically.
I mean, that is the messy middle we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. But because he built the skills slowly, the transition wasn't a huge shock.
And now he is doing it full-time and loving his life, right?
He really is. It changed his whole demeanor. He looks 10 years younger.
That is amazing. It just shows that you don't have to blow up your life to change it.
For sure, it was a gradual evolution, not a sudden explosion.
Now, let's look at Elena. She wanted to transform her health after years of neglect.
She was the one who couldn't even walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded, right?
Yeah, exactly. She was really struggling with her weight and her energy levels.
So how did she start? Did she go on a crazy fad diet?
Actually, no. She just started by drinking 1 extra glass of water every day.
That's it? That sounds almost too simple to work.
Right? But it gave her a small win. Then she added a 5-minute walk.
It's funny how those small wins build up your success muscle over time.
Exactly. After a month, she felt like someone who takes care of herself.
I mean, that is the identity shift happening in real time.
Totally. She eventually joined a gym, but only after she had the habit of moving.
To be fair, most people do it the other way around and quit within a week.
Right. They buy the $200 shoes and the membership, then never go.
Basically, Elena built the foundation before she built the house.
And she has lost 50 pounds now, but more importantly, she feels incredible.
That is the real goal. The weight loss is just a side effect of a better life.
Exactly. It's about the person you become in the process of reaching the goal.
Honestly, those stories are so much more inspiring than the overnight success ones.
For sure, because they're actually repeatable for the rest of us.
Right, we can all drink a glass of water or take a photo on our lunch break.
It makes the impossible feel, well, possible, you know?
I do. It's all about breaking the big vision down into tiny, actionable steps.
And then having the discipline to do those steps when you don't feel like it.
Which is basically every day, let's be honest.
Exactly. Motivation is a fickle friend, but discipline is a rock.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today, Sarah.
We really have, from micro habits to identity shifts and everything in between.
Honestly, if people just take away one thing, I hope it's that change is a process.
Right. It is not a destination you reach and then stop. It's a way of living.
To be fair, it is a way of living that requires constant maintenance and focus.
Basically, you have to keep choosing the new you every single morning.
I mean, some days you will choose the old you, and that is okay too.
Exactly. Just don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month.
For sure. Forgive yourself, learn the lesson, and get back on the horse.
It's funny you say that because self-compassion is actually a key part of change.
It really is. Beating yourself up just drains the energy you need to move forward.
Right, so be kind to yourself as you navigate this journey.
Change your life, but don't hate your life while you're doing it.
I love that. That is the perfect summary of everything we've talked about today.
Well, that is all the time we have for today's episode. I've had a blast.
Me too, Alex. This was such a great conversation. I hope it helps someone out there.
I'm sure it will. Honestly, even just talking about it makes me feel more motivated.
Right? Let's go out there and make some tiny changes today.
For sure. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys. Stay consistent and keep growing.
See ya.